going to skip around a little bit because I was in America and somebody asked me a question, which I'm going to change the question a drop to make it relevant for here. How well do I have to check my mirpeset and my chatzer? That was a question that the person asked me. Not exactly, but that was the question, and I would like to discuss that question. We're going to try to. Well, I just said that's the subject of the question. I didn't ask the question. I'm just saying that's the. Okay, we'll get there. First, bedikah it has to be from the candle. Im avar v'loy barak v'lala ba'asar, boydek b'yom arba asar, lo yivdoik la'or hachama, ela la'or haner. Even in the daytime, you have to use a candle. V'achsadr sha'ir rav, if you have a very open place, it's open on three sides, or im bodka la'or hachama, dayoy. V'hu adin keneged aruba shebacheder. If you have a skylight, so keneged aruba, the skylight there, you don't need to have a candle. But off to the sides, then you would need a candle. I'd just like to mention something, which I mentioned this when I was in America to people, because people were very perturbed with the statement. I said, you rent a car on Chalamoid, you have to check it for chametz. Now, I don't know if that's true in Eretz Yisrael exactly. Who do you rent from? No, I'm saying a guy who rents a car. Yeah. Who is? Yeah, but who is he? Is he Shemer Torah Mitzvahs? What? You know, if I'm renting from a rent-a-car place in Tel Aviv, I have no reason to assume that was checked, right? Now, at best, you can tell me that it was checked as well as your wife checked your living room before you did a bedikah. Because in between car rentals, they give it vacuuming, or whatever. So, does that potter you from bedikah? Well, we all do bedikah, and all our wives clean beforehand, right? I don't know what that means exactly. That our wives don't clean before, or we don't do bedikah. I don't know which one you were doubting. But there's a technical aspect of how a bedikah has to be done, and if your wife cleaned, even though she may have done a better job than you'll do with a bedikah, it doesn't fulfill the halachic requirement. Okay.
What if I clean the room? Do I have to do bedikah?
Yes. It's not a question of your wife. There is a mahalach how a bedikah has to be done. It has to be in the bar, it has to be done at night. It has, there's a way that it has to be done, and I said this last week, I'm going to say it again, and I tell many people you should do your kitchen not on B'dikas Chametz night. You should do it when you're switching over, but it has to be done. Okay. Now just for all those flashlight people, I would just like to read a machaber. Ein bodkim le'or havuka, ela le'or haner. Don't use a very strong light. So, because that can have its problems with it. V'loy b'nei shachele v'lo sheshuvan v'loy shel shemen ela b'nor shel shavu hu yechidi avol shtei neiros b'yachad afilu keluyim dina kavuka. If you have two candles that are twisted together, that's no good. Okay, now this is the most important halacha in Hilchos B'dikas Chametz. Where do you have to check? Boydek kol ha'mekaymes sheishlochu shema yichnisu b'hem chametz. Where are the places where there's a chash that a person could bring chametz in? Okay, so I'm going to speak about a person's bedroom. I don't eat in my bedroom. What happens if I'm not feeling well? Some wife could bring me something to eat in the bedroom. So, but even though I don't eat in the bedroom, but in a year's time, you eat there, right? So this becomes a place that chametz could be there.
After the Rav's cleaned his kitchen and put up all the silver foil, whatever else, all the coverings, still does the bedikah on all
Well,
this?
we discussed this. The full coverings could be take care of a bedikah problem, but that's a different issue. But the fact that it was cleaned for Pesach, let's start off the other way around. Which place halachically is cleaner for Pesach? A operating theater or Angel's Bakery after it was checked?
For Pesach.
I'll go with Angels.
What?
I'll go with Angels.
Why?
Well, first of all,
Checked.
I would have asked. And second of all, they didn't do anything over there for Pesach. They cleaned the house. They cleaned their...
Okay, I'm going to tell you why. That's not what I said. I said Angel's that they did a bedikah chametz, right?
And that's, I meant that they didn't...
Not that
the operating theater didn't do anything for Pesach.
Right. So, do I have to check it?
No, because food usually brought in. No, maybe
No.
cleanable food.
No.
Generally.
Let's say there's no cleaner that brings in food. You still, that's called a makom she'ein machnisim b'chametz. You're not mechuyev to check it. But halacha doesn't say that it's clean. Just don't have an obligation to check it. My Angel's Bakery, after I did a bedikah, it's muchzik that there's no chametz there. It's proactively chametz clean, right? So it's a different quality. Now you want to know which place you'll probably find more chametz. Could be in the Angel's Bakery, but halachically, if the process was done, so then it's better. Okay, I'm going to skip to Sif Vav. This is a very important halacha. Refes shel bakar ein tzarich bedikah. Shemay shem chametz habehemas ochlu. That's what they do. Okay, v'chein lul shel tarnagol ein tzarich bedikah. Mipnei shemay shem chametz hatarnag ochluhu. V'chein be'emtza shel chotzer ein tzarich bedikah. Shemay shem chametz ha'orvim v'shar ha'oifes mitzuyim shem ochluhu. So too, the middle of your chotzer you don't have to be worried about, because if there was any chametz there, the birds came and ate it.
But if you have an animal that scares away the birds, the derek clock.
Yeah, and if you would have a room that doesn't let birds in, right? Obviously, we're talking about that there's a...
So, like, if you can't be so much on that...
Right, you can't be... Right, now we're going to... One second, I didn't even say that when you can be...
I have cats. Like probably everyone.
You don't have cats.
I have cats who come into the chutzah.
Yeah, but you don't have cats.
They're not mine. Thank
Right,
you.
I'll share with you an incident that happened to me.
Birds too.
Okay. I was by my shver's house for Pesach once since I'm married. And I must have been married 3 weeks. I got married right before Pesach. And I was in the kitchen, and he has a backyard. And in his backyard, he had a grape arbor there. And there were like flower plants in pots along the grape arbor, for decoration. And I look out the window, and inside a pot with plants inside of it was a bagel. A bagel. Not an Israeli bagel, an American bagel. So I made a big deal about it, and I put up a mechitza and did everything. And my shver was sleeping. He wakes up and he says, "What's this hanging over here?" And he pulls it down, and to everybody's surprise, there was no bagel inside that pot. And then we saw what happened. A squirrel came, and the squirrels were using it as pit stops along a trail. I'm just telling you what happened. This is very normal in America. In other words, we don't have squirrels over here, but they what?
They're just called cats.
No, but cats are not orderly. The squirrels, they do things and so there was later on, a day later, there was another bagel but it had nothing to do with anybody. It wasn't anybody's chametz, and if you don't have a mind to be kainit, it's not a problem. But the fact that you tell me that you have cats, parrots, doesn't mean to me much. I don't know that cats only eat up chametz. I don't know that they don't bring chametz. I don't know. Do you know? All right.
Scare away the birds.
They more eat the birds, yeah.
Okay, they may eat the birds. Okay. Now, after I finish reading this, I would like to read the next line in the Mechaber, because this is the clincher. V'hani mili, that it helps that you have birds there, b'safek chametz. If you have, maybe I ate a sandwich in the backyard. Maybe I left a piece of sandwich there. So I'm not mechuyev to check, because I could say, even if I left it, a bird came and ate it. Avo vaday chametz loy. If you have vaday chametz in your backyard, the fact that there are birds, cats, or whatever else could be there, doesn't help.
What about if you have a dog? Dogs eat chametz.
I'd like to make a statement about your question. This is a Hilchos Pesach beauty. There was the person who was the paskin, the shaylis in Brisk. His name was Reb Simcha Zelig Rieger, and he was well known as from the biggest mekilim. He was a very big mekel, and in the Russian army, in the winter, they would have to smear alcohol on the guns before they shot them, because when you shoot a gun, it gets hot, and the metal would bend and get warped. So in order to keep the guns, that they shoot where they're supposed to shoot, you had to put the alcohol on it to keep it that it's good to go. The problem was that the soldiers used to drink the alcohol. So what did the Russian army do? They put poison into the alcohol to take care of the Russian soldiers.
And they died.
No, not from them, or not from that.
It stopped them from drinking it?
Listen.
I wouldn't think so.
Listen. And the soldiers, the Jewish soldiers, came to Reb Simcha Zelig before Pesach and said, what do we do about this alcohol? We have it. So he said, it's not roy lachilas kelev. You're allowed to have it, you're allowed to use it. So the Jewish soldiers took some of this alcohol and they poured it out in the forest at night to see what happens. And the dogs came and ate the alcohol.
They died?
No. And they came back to Reb Simcha Zelig the next day, and they said, Kvod Harav, yeah. So Reb Simcha Zelig's statement was, he says, what do you want from a Russian dog? He has nothing to eat. Okay? And he didn't change his psak. That's one story. That's half of a psak. Now I'm going to tell you the other half of the psak. Someone one time asked Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach about something if it's roy lachilas kelev. And Reb Shlomo Zalman said, don't take it and put it out in the street in Yerushalayim, and if dogs walk away and don't eat it, that means that it's not roy lachilas kelev. The dogs in Yerushalayim are very finicky. Okay? So when you discuss something that's roy lachilas kelev does not mean, by the way, that you will die if you eat it. If I ate a stone, you know what happened? Nothing. It would go in, it would come out. It doesn't make it roy lachilas kelev, right? The fact that person's not going to be in mortal danger, that's not enough. So when you say a person has dogs, I'm not sure if you had the dogs that people had 80 years ago in their plantation, right? If you're calling that dog, that's a different dog. You know what I mean? That's not your Chihuahua. That's a different thing. Okay, your Chihuahua owns you. You own that dog. All right. So this is what it says. So, but if there's Vadei chametz doesn't work. And here the Mishnah, the Ramah says,
What's he saying? If there's already chametz, of course you have chametz there.
can I rely on the fact that there are birds that they're going to eat it up?
You mean? Oh, you know?
I on Yud Gimel ate lunch with my family
you know you
in my
have chametz
chutzner.
there, and
Yeah.
and you think the birds may have taken it away.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know you left chametz there, or you know that you had chametz there at some point?
I know that there was chametz that was left there. Safek chametz, you could be saimech. Vadai chametz, you can't be. So how do you have vadai chametz? I'm telling you, you ate sandwiches with your kids.
It's not vadai that you brought it in there, it's vadai that you left it there at some point. It's not a makom shit.
It is it's a place. It's a makom shemachnisim by chametz. My bedroom. If I would sleep in my chatzer, so I could rely on the birds came and took away the chametz, because even if there was, they probably took it away. But there's only a suffix that there's chametz, right? Probably I ate my wife's food. I didn't, shove it under the bed, right?
It's a sveka, right?
It's something like that. Yeah, right. And that's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's the other way around. If it's a suffix, you can rely on the birds. Okay. You don't need. It's not a sveka. You don't have a chiyuv of bedikah because you could rely that the birds took it away. So I'm going to read the Mishnah Berurah because this Mishnah Berurah is very important. Aval ayin lekama v'hine ha'achronim harichu liyashiv astira, because in Siman Taf Mem Hey there it says that the mutter lahash lechametz b'makom sha'oifas mitzuyim. You can put your chametz in a place where there are birds there. So it seems that there's a stira between these two halachas.
What you allowed?
You could
Keep your chametz there.
I could dump my chametz in a place where birds come to eat.
When you're dumping it, this is after it's man beer or
Wherever it is, if you have a no chiyuv bedikah, right? I could take my chametz and dump it there, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So it seems that we could say that you could rely on the birds even l'chatchila. What?
Shabbos morning.
Yeah, Shabbos morning is a different problem. V'hinei v'ledina iskimu kam achronim the chotzer shaloi oishal shutfim also lizer chometz al smach shechlu ha'arvim va'oifos. If it's yours or the vada biases, you cannot rely on it. And even if you did, you have to be mavarit. I could put it there and say, if there's anything left, I'm mafkir it. Why? The kiva and shekvar yotza mirishusai. It's like you sold it. This is a fascinating question, and I'm just going to mention it over here. I offer by bedikah by mechiras chametz a mechiras yud gimel. This is called the mechiras yud beis, and the purpose of that is for people who want to somehow avoid having to make bedikas chametz on certain parts of the house or in their whole house, or they're going away for yontif, whatever it is. Now, this is a big machlekes achronim. The Mishnah Berurah says a place where I'm planning to sell on Yudalit in the morning, I don't have to make a bedikah on it. What's the difference if I put my chametz in a box and I'm going to be doing beer on it? Or if I have a room that I'm going to sell to a guy with. If I'm Lel Yudalid, I know I'm going to be disposing of the chametz and its place. It's good enough. The other poskim say, no, at this time you have a chiyuv of bedikah, and you have to do a bedikah on it. And therefore, that's why this halacha was created, to make a mechiras yud gimel. Now, I didn't say one has to do it, but that's why it's offered. So here he says, if you took it and you threw it out of your rishus, that's something different. Now, I'm willing to say, I don't know who owns the area. Now, I don't know if the citizens own the area. I have no idea how that works.
Like the building?
Anything which belongs to the area. Who owns Ayalon Park?
Public space.
Who owns it?
Government.
I'm not sure. No, it's like you speak to someone like Yehuda, who'll tell you all forests are owned by Karen Kayemet. They're not hefker. They could be owned by somebody else, but they're all owned.
No, the JNF built on government land. It's not our land. So
What happened? Let me explain to you what happened. What happened when there was a war in '48?
Right.
The Israeli government could not afford the war, so they borrowed money from the JNF, and they said that they will lend them land, they'll rent them, lease them land,
Give them land.
whatever. That's how the JNF came into being. That's how you have all this, all of these forests. But be'etzem, there's nothing that's hefker. There's no land in what?
That's ownerless.
That's
It's
ownerless.
owned by someone.
If it's not owned by someone, it's owned by the government. That's what the government assumes. I'm not sure if halachically that's true, that the government owns it. Now, there are, from the questions which this involves in Pesach, is a fascinating thing. The government does not allow people to draw water from natural springs for commercial purposes. And therefore, there's a great question about the Mayim Shalanu that's used in matzahs. How is that problem taken care of? But there's a lot of laws and halachas out there that people aren't aware of that exist. All right, but that's all right. So what it says over here is that your backyard, if you eat their chametz on Yud Gimel, on Yud Daled, you should do bedikas chametz on it, unless you're not sure that you left something there. I'm willing to say as follows: most of us, in our own chutzner, we're not going to leave over pieces of bread. If you leave, maybe some crumbs fell. The crumbs that fall are anyways memela batli. They're not substantial enough that they're of a problem. The whole question starts if you have crumbs, they say in America, bigger than a Cheerios.
A lot of us, let's say, on Sukkot, we're eating in our chutzner. Or
I don't think you have
that's
to.
it,
Okay,
right.
I think that
you're eating with kids, and there's going to be food around.
Okay, so I'll answer that question. Any food that's left from Sukkot is not edible anymore on Pesach.
If it's outside.
Yeah.
If it's covered, it could be.
Yeah, but that's not his chutzner.
You could do that's left from
Yeah,
one
but
sukkah.
he said I built my sukkah in my chutzner. So why that was his question.
Right.
So you took down the sukkah, right?
So you're not a sukkah, but that's the board, it's not the food.
Yeah,
If there's a piece of food that fell, I won't necessarily see when I'm taking down the sukkah.
yeah, but if it's such a long time beforehand, in other words, what will happen? What you tell me? What's going to happen to the food?
Plus the rain.
What?
Plus the rain.
Yeah, so it'll get nifsal. Okay, I just want to make a
If it's a
statement.
commercial cookie, it can last for years out there.
Okay, I want to just tell you something. I experimented this once. I took a cookie, put it in a shirt pocket, washed my shirt with detergent and even bleach,
Great.
and took the cookie out, put it in the dryer, took the cookie out and ate it, and it was edible. Okay? Now, that's true.
If it was edible when you first bought it. then
Yeah,
it's
it was no worse than it was. Okay? What? Now, that is that's a
One unit.
yeah, no, it's a unit. It's not crumbs. Crumbs will fall apart, they could disintegrate. All those which you mentioned last time, all those people who are cleaning between their balatas, they're kind of the mitzvah of preparing for Yontif. You could do it on Sukkot too. But it has nothing to do with chametz. Anything which is small enough to get in between the balatas is memela batal, even without any water. okay.
Do we have to worry about our neighbors throwing down bags of pretzels that might have been?
I'm not sure. Are you asking me a zoning question? Or are you asking? I would like to. I'm going to share with you.
Someone cleaned my-
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something.
That I didn't even know. Like, where did you find that? It was everything.
Okay, so there's two parts to bedikas chametz. This is what I'm telling you right now. Is very important. There's one part of bedikas chametz to make sure you don't own chametz, and there's another part of bedikas chametz to make sure that you don't eat chametz. Now, there are things that you're not mechuyev to be boidik because they're not yours. And I'll just tell you something. If you have this problem, which obviously you must have this problem because you're asking the question, all you have to do, as far as owning the chametz is concerned, you say on Yud Gimel that if any chametz falls into my house, I am not going to be koined. I don't want it. And then it's like chemtzo shel akum. It has nothing to do with you. You have no obligation on it.
And that help me for anything that might be there right now? That I don't have to check for it?
No, because what's there right now, you have to make bedikas chametz. Now, if it falls on Pesach, that's I discussed this. I didn't tell you about the shechita. I made a shechita twice on Chol Hamoed Pesach in my house of a behemoth daka, and both times there was wheat found in its stomach. Okay, but I made it beforehand. I said I'm not going to be kohen it, so that's not a problem. Now, that is only as far as the chashash Hashem yavoloichla. You, I'm being particular because I'm speaking to you. You have animals that could eat it.
Not mine, they don't die.
Oh, you killed them, huh? Okay, and you don't have any kids that are choshud. You don't have any little kids. Okay, so if you don't have, then I would say then you're okay. But if you have little kids, I would say that's not good enough. Okay.
I'm sure they run around with stuff they used to back in that corner and that corner. All
Who
the little kids.
Yeah. So yeah.
How does that work that if you say not koned, there's a second reason for the
And he might eat it. So that's what I said. That's why I said does he have any kids that is going to be anything that's going to be problematic. But if I say that I don't want to be kind of any of the chametz that falls into my rishus, so then it's not yours. If you have a goyish worker come to fix your refrigerator on Chol Hamoed, and he left his sandwich there, you have absolutely no problem. It's not yours.
If you left it during the year, I would throw it out, let alone a Pesach.
Yeah,
I would never.
no. Left
No,
the year.
I would eat it.
I didn't say that. But do you have a problem of owning chametz? No, it's
Can you pick it up and throw it out, or you have to cover it?
okay. I would say if it belongs to the guy, I think you could probably just throw it out. Now, I just I don't know. Here is I'm answering. I'm going to try to answer the question as technically as I can. If you have in mind, if the guy has some chametz, you don't want to own it, so then you're for sure good. If you didn't do that, so it could be that once he left, it's like he's nisyayish on it, and now I would like to back up. What's the halacha if on tomorrow you have an Arab worker comes and he leaves his sandwich there? What's the halacha? What are you supposed to do with it tomorrow?
Right.
What?
Disposal.
Okay. The Medrash says that you're not supposed to return an aveda to a goy. Le'oiva Hashem sloyach loy. A person is not supposed to return an aveda to a goy. So if there's no law that's demanding that you return it, you should not return it. If there's an aspect of a kiddush Hashem, that's a different question. You know that I'm not discussing that question. But on a regular day, you shouldn't be returning it to him. But if it became hefker, and now you were kohen it, so then you have a problem. Then you're back to having a problem. So how do you make sure that doesn't happen? You say beforehand you don't want to be kohen it. So you have to preempt the situation in order to make sure that you don't have the problem. All right. Okay, I'm going to do the next halacha. This is a important halacha. You have a place that you know that there's chametz there, v'nofal, and it collapsed, v'nasagal, and it became rubble. You're not mechuyev to go and search for the chametz in the gal. Why? Kivan sheyesh bo sakonas akrov shemetzuyim begalim. Since there are scorpions that hang out, chashinan shema achar sheyashnem bedikah she'enu oisik b'mitzvah yechapes achar machat shenevad shaloi v'yovodei sakona v'hani mili b'stam avo b'yadua sheyesh tachtav chametz. If you know, here we're back to the same situation. I know I had my Stella Dora cookies in that closet. I lost my place. Im ein olav gova gimel tvachim tzarich lahoitzi misham b'mor v'chatzina. You're mechuyev to dig it out. Be'inyan she'en bo sakana. V'im yesh olav gova gimel tvachim mevatle b'libo v'dayoy. If it's 3 tvachim high, so we don't have to be worried about somebody taking it out. You could be mevatel it b'liboy, and that's good enough. So basically what we just discussed is another situation where you're forced to deal with chametz that you wouldn't want to deal with because it's yours, and it can crop up. Okay.
So general thing, is there anything to do different about bedikah this year because of the Pesach?
No, just that you're putting away more stuff. Besides what you're burning, you have to put. And very important, whatever you say for Shabbos is not included in the mechira, right? So you have to finish it off. You can't during the regular year. Theoretically, you could put it together with the stuff that you're selling. You can't do that this year.
You can't say tonight that what I eat, I'm not selling.
No.
Right. What's the accepted shear for Ravi's?
I'm going to answer the question.
And I'm not talking about donation. I'm talking about time 9. I'm talking about.
I think somewhere between 3.5 and 4 ounces. That's probably.
Like in milliliters. That's about.
But I would just say that you don't have to drink that much. You don't have to drink Rav Revius. It's not so much. Rav Revius is, somebody who has problems. Is of all the 4 cups together is about 8 something ounces. All right.